Hi, you guys. It is Charlie, aka Miss Charlotte, and I know that I look pale as hell on camera. It's the lighting up in this kitchen, and I can't figure out how to get it perfect, you know, like, so you can actually see what my face actually look like. But I had to make sure myself was tidied up before I officially started the Charlie's Truth series, you guys. This is part 1 of the Charlie's Truth series. So, and you must always look absolutely fabulous before you do any type of camera work or anything like that. And even though I look pale as hell on camera, still got to look good, you guys. So, what is part 1 of Charlie's Truth series going to be about? Ladies and gentlemen, to begin, I'm going to tell you guys how I got to where I am. Why, all that stuff. Because I think it's important to know how I got to the position I am now. Now, I believe that I have talked about this before, but I didn't really elaborate on it, so I'm going to tell you guys the deets here on part 1 of Charlie's Truth series. Now, I'm not sure how long the video is going to be, you guys, because of the fact that it's not an edited video. It's not planned out. It's just me telling you guys the truth about myself in little sections. So, of course, throughout the week when I have the time to do it, I will do part 2, part 3, so forth, whatever, until my entire series is done. So basically, until I'm done talking about myself, that's when the series is over. So this is going to mark part 1 of Charlie's Truth series. So if you guys want to stay for the whole video and just learn a little bit about me, feel free to do so. I know for some of you the video might be too long, so you'll lose interest and won't want to hear it, but hey, it's there if you guys want to listen. So here we go. So first of all, I want to start out by showing you guys this newspaper, this piece of newspaper that I still have and have had for many years. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because it's kind of faded out and it's old, but I want you guys to see it. So right here is a picture of me, that's with my long hair, and a lady named Anne, who was the director of the place that I had to stay at for a while. Now, in the description box, it says, Charlie, Wright, is an urban peak Colorado Springs success story, going from homeless to having his own apartment and job. He was congratulated by Anne Carousel, director of Colorado House and Resource Center. And this story was, damn, I forgot what exact date this was, but this was actually after a dinner that they had for congratulating success stories from the program that I was in. So I'm of course going to elaborate about that here in a moment, but real quick, I need to take off these damn shoes because they are annoying the shit out of me. Ugh. And any interruptions here on the show, I'm sorry guys, I might get like a message or something or something of that nature. So if I do, I'm sorry if it interrupts what I'm talking about, but oh God. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I'm back. So let me tell you guys the story of why I was in the newspaper, how I got there, so far and so forth. So, I graduated high school from Palmer High School in 2004. When I came out of 2004 graduation, I believe I was still working at Burger King or something like that. Anyway, mother and I had our little, battles. I believed that because I was, how old was I? I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old when this happened. I believed that I was just knew everything, like a typical person my age does. I thought I was a know-it-all, so I thought I could make it out there in the big world and that I could just do whatever I wanted without any replications or anything happening. Didn't want to listen to my mom, anything like that. But anyway, how this all started was I had met a roommate. And this was actually a girl that I had met at Burger King when I was working there at the time. And, you know, she seems like she was a genuine, all-around good person. But her husband was a little bit on the psychotic side. But, of course, I still was kind of friends with him, but not exactly. I was more friends with Elizabeth at that time. That was her name was Elizabeth too. So it's not the Elizabeth you guys possibly know, but it was another girl that was Elizabeth. And I had become friends with this Elizabeth girl, and I figured, I was becoming best friends with her. But basically, they were talking about moving to Florida. And at that time, like I said, me and my mom were kind of having arguments and, kind of just not getting along at the time. So Elizabeth had offered me to actually come to Florida with her. Now, of course, I was going to go through with that decision of actually moving to Florida with her. Because at that time, I wasn't thinking, hey, I don't know anything about Florida. I don't know anybody out in Florida. The only person that I'm going out there in Florida with is with Elizabeth and her husband and her kid. And I was like, to me, it was an opportunity to get out of Colorado, to go explore, to move somewhere else, start a new life somewhere else. But the problem was that I didn't have exactly a stable job. I didn't have a car. I didn't have any saved money. So I didn't exactly think it through at that time. So of course I was being a total dumbass, but it was that whole believing that this Elizabeth girl was going to take care of me and that I was going to be able to get a job and everything once I moved out to Florida with her. So I had even brought this up to my mom, and the whole time she was telling me, this is a mistake, you shouldn't do this. But at the same time, if you feel like you need to get out and venture and go start your life or whatever, then you do so. You do whatever is best. So what I did was, after having an argument with mother, I actually wound up moving in with these roommates. And, they were basically going to move within a month. So I moved in with them. Like I said, didn't have a stable job at that time. But, I was paying whatever I could to them at that time or whatever. But I believe within that month, somehow I lost my job at Burger King because they actually had asked me to resign from Burger King. So I didn't have a job. So then my way of getting paid and getting in good graces with them was babysitting their kid for like every time they went out to work or whatever, I would babysit the kid. Now, as I lived there, I realized how many issues that her and the husband would have. I mean, she was like an alcoholic. She would drink. They would fight. They would try to get me involved in their relations. The husband didn't like me because I was with, siding more with Elizabeth because I knew her more, And then, so it was an everyday thing. So towards the middle of the month, me and the husband started having issues with each other, because he had his dislikes, blah, 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 and didn't agree with certain things or whatever. So, me and him weren't exactly getting along. Even though Elizabeth and her husband were having issues with each other, she, of course, still took her husband's side. So, every now and then, me and her would get into it. By then, me and my mom were just so far into not getting along that I felt like I had no choice but to stay with Elizabeth and her husband. So to make a short, long story kind of short, towards the end of the month, I came home one day because I had came from the library, and it was snowing that night. I came outside, and literally all my stuff was sitting outside of their door. And there was a note laying on top of that pile of stuff, and it said, we're moving to Florida without you, blah, blah, blah. There was a note from her, and there was a note from the husband just talking shit. And they were, like, literally sitting on the couch in front of the mirror, or in front of the window. So, me reading this notes, I'm like, what's going on? So I knocked on the door. They just completely started ignoring me. They just completely ignored me. So, I don't know, something ticked in my head and I went crazy. And I picked up this chair and I started banging on the window, like trying to break the fucking glass that they were all sitting on. So then the husband comes out, you know, talking shit, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, call the police. And I'm like, go ahead and call the fucking police. You just kicked me out, blah, blah, blah. You know. So basically that was that. They closed the doors and shut me out completely. Me, I'm like, what did I do? You know, just because I didn't agree with whatever. So, after they called the police, I gathered all my stuff. And sure enough, the only place left to go was back home to Mom. I come home to Mom. She opens the door and I'm like, Mom, you told me. And I was like, I just need to stay here for one night. That's all. Just, we need to stay for one night. She was like, okay. So that night I stayed wondering what I was going to do. Where I was going to go. Because I was like, I can't stay home because I've already pretty much made my bed. I got to lay in it, you know. So that whole night I just basically couldn't sleep. So then the next morning when I woke up, I basically had told my mom, thank you for letting me stay. Talk to you soon. So I left that morning. That was the last time that I had stayed at my mom's house. So that whole morning, you know, and at that time I was taking the bus, you know, the city bus and everything. That whole morning I was just taking the bus back and forth to places, just to go places, wondering where I was going to go, what I was going to do. And I had wound up messaging somebody online, MySpace at the time, about what was going on. And then they're like, why don't you come stay with us? Now, at that time, I thought these people that I was talking to were good people. So I was like, you know, I don't really know them too well, but this is a chance to keep me from off the streets. So, sure enough, they came down, got my stuff, and they let me stay with them, even though I had no job. But the only thing that I had left was a tax return check that was coming back to me that I was going to give them for letting me stay for however amount of time until I could figure out a job situation. So yes, they let me stay, and it was a gay couple, and that was a mistake in itself. So I moved in, and everything was good. You know, they gave me a little place to, you know, sleep in their apartment and everything. But of course, them being a gay couple as well, they would get into their spouts, and then of course they'd want me to once again be the mediator and take their sides. Well, the one person that was on the apartment didn't like times when I would take the other person's side. So, of course, we had our little animosities between each other. That whole time, of course, I was trying to find a job, trying to figure out what I was going to do next, because I knew that I wasn't going to have to stay there forever. You know, I needed to find a way to pay for me staying there. So, yeah, there was battles between me and the roommates that were there, and it was just like, you know, stop getting me involved in your problems. You know, I don't want to be involved in your problems. So, to make, once again, a long story short, I was there for, I think, about a month. I think I was there for about a month. One night, I got into an argument with the person that was on the lease, and he was drunk. And he basically told me to get all my shit and get the fuck out. So, once again, I'm, like, stuck there. Like, where do I go? What do I do? So, I was like, you know what? Fine. I'm out of here. So, all my stuff wound up being there, but I did leave for the night. So that was the first time in my life that I had ever stayed out on the street. And thank God it wasn't that cold, because, like, I remember taking the bus downtown and I was like, where am I going to go from here? What am I going to do now? All my resources are done. So once again, like I said, I was pondering around that entire night, first time ever, on the street, wondering what I was going to do. Scared to death, didn't know where to go, um, didn't know who to talk to. It was a very heartbreaking time at that time. And like I said, I was determined not to go back home because I figured I made my bed, I have to lie in it. So, alright you guys, I'm going to have to split these videos up into parts so it doesn't take forever to upload. So, if you want to continue to hear this story, because it is leading up to more, you know, information, stay tuned. This is going to be part 1 of Charlie's Truth, and then it's going to be part, like, 1B for the other part of this story. So, if you want to tune into that, stay tuned, you guys, and as always, holla back.